In this video, we're going to see how cybercriminals and hackers exploit online resume builders. So basically, when you fill out your information to create an online resume, you will have an option to export your resume as a PDF. Guess what? If the online service that you are using to create the resume is not secure or the underlying system has vulnerabilities, attackers can exploit this functionality to not only download the resume, they can also download other candidates' resumes, access company systems, and leak personal data. Note that I will not be using a real scenario in this video. I'm going to use a demo scenario that you can access online for demonstration purposes only. Let's get to it.
Alrighty then.
The user clicks the download button. This download button allows the user to download their CV or the resume. Okay. Upon initiating the download, what happens? We open the doors for sensitive file disclosure. The connection between the download process and the sensitive file disclosure is that the web application was vulnerable to LFI, or what's known as the local file inclusion vulnerability. Now, when we discover that the application is vulnerable to local file inclusion, we open the chances for sensitive file disclosure, and therefore we will be able to disclose the credentials, such as those stored under the etc or the password file. And of course, once we discover the local file inclusion vulnerability, we'll be able to leak as many files as we want, not only the password file. So it is as you can see, the catalyst between the resume download and the sensitive file disclosure was the discovery of local file inclusion vulnerability. And once we discover that, we will be able to perform unlimited downloads of unlimited files, such as the SQLite database, as we will see in the demo scenario. Okay, so this is the example of the resume builder here. Now, basically, you fill out the information about yourself, the education, you add where you have studied, the experience, where you worked before, the projects you worked on, the skills. That's a typical resume builder. So let's move on and fill in the information. So I'm going to type my name here, and I'm going to type a demo email. That's not my real email. So demo maybe.com. I'm going to skip the phone, education. Maybe you can just add anything you want. Could be offensive security, and here let's say penetration testing. Regarding the experience, you can also add maybe offensive security, PT. It's penetration testing, not personal trainer. And projects, skills, languages, English, Arabic, what else? Hebrew. Okay, so we're gonna export. Now here's the thing. When you export as PDF, you're supposed to have your profile or have your resume in a PDF format, and that's what actually happens. Since we want to test the weaknesses of this web application functionality, we're gonna have to run Burp suite, go to proxy, make sure the intercept is on, activate the plugin that's linked to Burp. Now when you click on export, it's going to send you a request to Burp suite. I'm gonna export. We have the request over here. So let's make this bigger. So that's the request, as you can see, options/exports. Now for now, we're gonna forward this request. Forward, and then we have another request to /exports. You see here the API is, the host is api.heal.hackthebox. This is actually a machine from HackTheBox, forgot to say. That's where the request is being sent first. So if you go back to the resume builder, we see we are on heal.htp. Now when we clicked on export, the request got sent to api.heal. That's where the actual processing happens. Now if we go to API, later we're gonna examine this. So now if we're gonna forward, and now that's the actual request that gets you your resume in PDF. So it's /download file name equal the name of the file that will be downloaded. Once we click on forward, we're going to download the resume as PDF, but that's not what we want. We want to test this for weaknesses. So the query parameter here is file name. When we see query parameters, immediately we want to manipulate how they work. So one of the methods is to try to get the query parameter load a file system, or a file in the file system, maybe the password file. So here I'm gonna change the file name here, and instead I'm gonna type etc password. I'm gonna click on forward one more time, and go back to the browser. Now we should see the download, or the browser prompts us for the download. We're still waiting for this. Okay, so you see it got downloaded. So if you get an empty file here, what you can do, you can go back to Burp and resend the request. So basically I'm going to export as PDF, go back, click on forward. Now here again, we're going to change the file name and put back the password file, highlight, do intercept the response to this request. Forward, and we get the response. Okay, next we're gonna forward, and then we have the other request, etc password, highlight, and then we're going to intercept the response for this request. Let's take a look at the response. We see this is the password file. Now that's how we were able to divulge the information or the sensitive information of the Linux file system. So where's the problem here? The problem does not lie here. It is not because the resume builder is vulnerable. It's because when I clicked on export as PDF, the request got sent to another host. This host is a complete different virtual host than the host that is storing the resume builder. We have heal.http, right? Now when the request got sent, it got sent to api.heal. So the problem is here at API or this virtual host. We're gonna have to find out what's the problem there. So why this happened. Alternatively, or additionally, sorry, you can also expose other files on the Linux file system. Maybe you can expose, if we forward this request, or maybe if we send this to, let's do another request and have another example. Forward, here you can maybe etc hosts, let's close the host file. If the host file does not have the correct permissions, we will be able to see the contents. So do intercept, the response, forward, and this is the host file. We were able to see the contents of the host file as well. And we can see here the endpoints that I have added so that these endpoints resolve the correct IP address. Okay, now let's investigate the API Heal. Now if we go to API Heal and we see that it is running Ruby on Rails version 7.1.4. So basically, according to documentation of Ruby on Rails, we can reach the basic settings and configurations using the following syntax or the following path. So if we go back to the Burp suite here and we resend the request, the purpose here is instead of loading the password file, we want to load the configurations and the maybe plain text credentials if they exist in this installation of Ruby. So we go back here, we make sure the intercept is on, export, click on forward for this, and now we get to manipulate the file name parameter again. So here the path to the database file or the SQLite database file is config database YAML. Maybe this time let's try to do it with directory traversal because we want to navigate out of this directory and into the directory where it stores the configurations of the Ruby installation. So config. So here I navigated out by two directories as a first attempt, and then database.yaml. I'm gonna copy this because I may need to send it more than one time. Forward, we got an OK response. Now I'm gonna forward again, and this time we paste this. Okay. Now, if you have a look here at the response, we see the contents of the database file. If we scroll down, line 34, the development section, we see a path to the SQLite database. The name is development.sqlite 3. So you may need also to, or you may want to download this file as well. I'm gonna copy this, okay, and in a completely different request, we're going to retrieve this database file. So forward, and here we paste the path, again forward, and lastly we're going to intercept the response to this. So these are the contents of the SQLite database. Among the given data here, we see, let's scroll down, we want to see an email address or a hash. Okay, look at this one. So line 24, we see Ralph at heal HTTP, and there is a hash. Now that's not the healthy way of opening a SQLite database, but that's a shortcut. So we're going to use SQLite 3 and specify the database file. And from here, to retrieve the contents of the database, we're going to use .dump. And now we will be able to see the contents of the database in SQL format. So see here, insert this line, insert into users. The user is table, the values. What are the values? We have the username. This is the admin username, and that is the hash. Now the next thing you want to do, or you may want to do, is to crack this hash. Actually, you can crack this hash using Hashcat. So Hashcat -m, the mode will be 3200 because this is a bcrypt hash -a 0, and then we have the word list. And we're gonna wait.